April 7, 1945. The sky over Tokyo. A young American pilot sits in the cockpit of his P-51 Mustang, 7,000 miles from home. His hands grip the controls. His eyes scan the horizon. Below him, the city burns. Above him, Japanese fighters are climbing fast. This mission, this moment, shouldn't even be possible. Just 3 years ago, no American fighter could reach Tokyo. The distance was too far. The fuel tanks were too small. The engines couldn't handle it. Japan's skies belonged to Japan. Their cities were untouchable, safe. But the pilot in that Mustang? He's about to prove them wrong. Because the P-51 wasn't just another fighter plane, it was a revolution, born from desperation, built in a hurry, powered by British genius and American muscle. And now it's doing something no one thought could be done. It's escorting bombers all the way to Tokyo and back. This is the story of that plane, the story of the men who flew it, and the story of how a silver fighter with a British heart and an American soul changed the war in the Pacific. This is the story of the Mustang that ruled the skies over Tokyo. Before we continue, if you love World War II history, hit that subscribe button right now. We bring you untold stories from the war every single week, stories that deserve to be remembered. Now, let's dive in. 1942. The skies over Germany. American B-17 bombers are getting slaughtered. They fly deep into enemy territory, trying to hit factories, trying to cripple the Nazi war machine. But they're alone up there. No fighter escorts, no protection, just them and the Luftwaffe. German fighters swarm them like wolves. They pick off the bombers one by one. Young American crews, barely 20 years old, dying in the frozen sky. Why? Why can't American fighters protect them? Simple. Range. The P-47 Thunderbolt, tough plane, great in a fight. But it can only fly about 400 miles before it has to turn back. The P-38 Lightning, fast, powerful. But same problem, 400, maybe 500 miles, and it's done. Berlin is 600 miles from England. Munich is even farther, so the bombers fly alone. And they die alone. The 8th Air Force is losing planes faster than they can replace them. Pilots are writing letters home, knowing they might not come back. Commanders are pulling their hair out. Something has to change. They need a fighter that can go the distance. A fighter that can stay with the bombers, all the way to the target and all the way back home. But in 1942, that fighter doesn't exist. Not yet. 1940. 2 years before those bombers start dying over Germany, a British officer walks into the offices of North American Aviation in California. He's got a problem. Britain is fighting for its life. The Royal Air Force needs fighters, and they need them now. But here's the catch. Britain doesn't have time to wait. They need a brand new fighter, designed, built, and ready to fly in 120 days. 4 months. That's it. Most aircraft companies would laugh. Designing a fighter takes years, not months. But North American Aviation says yes. The lead designer is a man named Edgar Schmued. German-born, American-raised. He's brilliant, and he's got a vision. He wants to build the fastest, cleanest, most aerodynamic fighter the world has ever seen. And he does it. In 117 days, the first P-51 rolls out. Sleek, beautiful, low drag. It looks like it's moving even when it's standing still. The British test it, and they love it. It's fast. It handles like a dream. But there's a problem. The engine. It's got an Allison engine, and the Allison can't perform at high altitude. Above 15,000 feet, it loses power. It struggles. And in World War II, battles happen at 20, 25, 30,000 feet. So the Mustang is fast, but it can't fight where it needs to fight. The pilots call it a low-altitude plane. Good for reconnaissance, maybe ground attack, but not good enough for the real war in the sky. The Mustang is born, but it's not ready yet. 1942. Someone has an idea. A brilliant, almost crazy idea. What if they pulled out the Allison engine and dropped in a Rolls-Royce Merlin instead? The Merlin is the engine that powers the British Spitfire. It's a masterpiece. It breathes at high altitude. It roars with power. It's everything the Allison isn't. But there's a problem. Rolls-Royce is in England. They're already building Merlins as fast as they can for their own planes. They can't make enough for America too. So the Americans do what Americans do best. They license the design and they build it themselves. Packard Motor Company in Detroit starts cranking out Merlins by the thousands. And in late 1942, the first P-51B Mustang takes off with a Merlin engine under the hood. It's a different plane now, completely different. It climbs to 30,000 feet like it's nothing. It hits 440 miles per hour, faster than almost anything in the sky. It turns tight, it dives hard. And it's still got that beautiful, sleek airframe that slips through the air like a knife. Pilots who fly it can't believe it. This thing is a monster. But there's still one question. One big question. Can it go the distance? Can it fly deep into Germany and back? Because speed doesn't matter if you run out of gas halfway there. The engineers get to work. 1943. The engineers have a solution. Drop tanks. External fuel tanks that hang under the wings. The Mustang takes off with them, flies hundreds of miles on that extra fuel, and when they're empty, the pilot just drops them, punches a button, and they fall away. Now the plane is light again, ready to fight. With drop tanks, the P-51 can fly over 1,000 miles. 1,000 miles. That means it can go anywhere in Germany. It can go to Berlin and back. It can stay with the bombers the whole way. Early 1944, the Mustangs arrive in England. The 8th Air Force gets its guardian angel. The first long-range escort missions start in February. The bombers aren't alone anymore. Silver Mustangs fly beside them, above them, around them. When German fighters show up, the Mustangs pounce. And the Luftwaffe starts losing. Big time. German aces who've been ruling the skies for years, they're getting shot down by American kids who learnt to fly in Texas and Florida. The Mustang is faster, it climbs better, it turns tighter. The Germans can't keep up. By spring of 1944, the tide is turning. American bombers are hitting their targets and coming home. The Mustang is doing what no other fighter could do. But the war isn't just happening in Europe. On the other side of the world, in the Pacific, there's another enemy. Another sky that needs to be controlled. And the Mustang is about to go there too, late 1944. The war in Europe is winding down. But in the Pacific, it's just getting started. American B-29 Superfortresses are pounding Japan from the Mariana Islands. Guam, Saipan, Tinian, massive bombers carrying tons of explosives, flying 1,500 miles to Tokyo and back. But they're flying alone. No fighter can make that trip. 1,500 miles is too far, even for the Mustang, so the B-29s go in without escorts, and Japanese fighters tear into them. Anti-aircraft fire fills the sky. Bombers go down in flames. Crews bail out over the ocean, hoping someone finds them before they drown. The Air Force needs a closer base. Somewhere between the Marianas and Japan. Somewhere a fighter can reach Tokyo from. February 19, 1945. The Marines land on Iwo Jima. It's a tiny island, volcanic, ugly, shaped like a pork chop, but it's got airfields. And it's only 660 miles from Tokyo. 660 miles. That's Mustang range. The battle for Iwo Jima is brutal. Thousands of Marines die taking that island. But they take it. And by March, the Navy Seabees are working around the clock, rebuilding the airstrips, getting them ready. The Mustangs start arriving. The 15th Fighter Group. The 21st Fighter Group. Hundreds of silver P-51s, fresh paint, full fuel tanks. And the pilots know what's coming. Tokyo. They're going to Tokyo. April 7th, 1945. The day has arrived. At Iwo Jima, 108 P-51 Mustangs line up on the runway. Pilots climb into their cockpits. Ground crews check the engines one last time. The sun is just starting to rise over the Pacific. This is it. The first fighter escort mission to Tokyo. 7 hours round trip. Longer than any mission they've ever flown. The bombers are already on their way. 150 B-29s headed north. The Mustangs have to catch up, link up, and stay with them all the way. One by one, the Mustangs roar down the runway and lift off. Silver wings catch the morning light. They form up, heading north over the endless blue ocean. For hours they fly. Nothing but water below. If an engine quits, if something goes wrong, there's nowhere to land. You go down, you're done. But the Merlins keep running, steady, strong. Then, on the horizon, Japan appears, the coast, the mountains. And then, Tokyo. Smoke is already rising from the city. The B-29s are dropping their bombs. Explosions ripple across the streets below. And then the Japanese fighters scramble. Dozens of them. Zeros, Tonys, Jacks. They climb fast, desperate to stop the bombers. But the Mustangs are there. The American pilots dive, guns blazing, 50 caliber machine guns tearing through the sky. Japanese planes try to turn, try to fight, but the Mustangs are faster, sharper, deadlier. One by one, the enemy fighters fall, spinning, smoking, crashing into the sea. The mission lasts hours. The Mustangs chase, shoot, protect. When it's over, they turn south and head back to Iwo Jima. The count comes in. 21 Japanese planes shot down. Only 2 Mustangs lost. Tokyo isn't safe anymore. The Mustang has arrived. If you're enjoying this story, do us a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe. We spend hours researching every video to bring you the real history. Your support keeps these stories alive. All right, let's keep going. April, May, June, July, August. The Mustangs keep coming. Every few days, another mission. Another long flight over the ocean. Another battle in the skies over Japan. The Japanese try everything. They send up their best pilots. They throw waves of fighters at the Americans. They even try kamikaze attacks, suicide pilots aiming straight for the bombers. But the Mustangs are always there, always watching, always protecting. The pilots are exhausted. 7-hour missions, day after day. Some guys fly until they can barely stand. They land on Iwo Jima, stumble out of the cockpit and collapse. Ground crews drag them to their tents. A few hours of sleep and then they're back in the air. It's not just escort missions either. The Mustangs start going low. Strafing missions. They dive down to treetop level and hit Japanese airfields. They destroy planes on the ground before they can even take off. Hangars explode. Fuel depots burst into flames. The Japanese Air Force is being torn apart. But it's not without cost. Some Mustangs don't come back. Engine failure over the ocean. A lucky shot from a Japanese pilot. Flak from the ground. The Pacific swallows them and no one ever finds them. The pilots know the risks. They know every mission could be their last. But they keep flying. Because the bombers need them. Because their buddies need them. Because the war won't end until Japan surrenders. And Japan isn't surrendering. Not yet. So the Silver Mustangs keep coming. Day after day. Relentless. And Japan's skies? They're not theirs anymore. They belong to the Mustang. August 1945. The war is almost over. Everyone can feel it. August 6th. A single B-29 drops an atomic bomb on Hiroshima. The city disappears in a flash of light. August 9th. Another bomb. Nagasaki. The world has never seen destruction like this. Japan is reeling. Their military is shattered. Their cities are burning. But still, the Japanese government hesitates. So the Mustangs keep flying. They escort reconnaissance planes, making sure no one shoots them down while they photograph the damage. They patrol the skies, watching for any last-ditch attacks. They're ready, just in case Japan tries one final desperate move. The pilots are tense, hopeful, but tense. They want this to be over. They want to go home. But until Japan officially surrenders, the war is still on. August the 15th. The word comes through. Japan has surrendered. Emperor Hirohito has spoken on the radio. It's over. The war is over. On Iwo Jima, the pilots gather around radios, listening to the news. Some of them cry. Some of them just sit there, staring at nothing. They can't believe it. After all the missions, all the fear, all the friends they lost, it's finally done. The Mustangs are grounded. No more missions, no more combat. The silver fighters sit quietly on the runway, their guns silent for the first time in months. The mechanics walk among them, running their hands along the wings, the fuselage. These planes carried their boys to Tokyo and back, over and over. They brought them home. The P-51 Mustang proved itself in Europe, but it proved itself all over again in the Pacific. It flew farther than anyone thought possible. It fought harder than anyone expected. And it brought American boys home. Tokyo learned what Berlin already knew. When the Mustangs come, the sky is no longer yours. The P-51 Mustang wasn't supposed to be a legend. It started as a rushed design, built in 4 months because the British were desperate. It had the wrong engine. It couldn't fight at high altitude. People thought it was just okay, nothing special. But someone saw potential. Someone had an idea. And American engineers, American factory workers, American ingenuity, they turned that flawed plane into the greatest fighter of World War II. They gave it a British heart, the Merlin engine. They gave it American range with those drop tanks. And they gave it to pilots who refused to quit, refused to turn back, refused to let their bombers fly alone. From the skies over Berlin to the skies over Tokyo, the Mustang went everywhere. It did everything. It escorted bombers through hell. It shot down enemy aces. It strafed airfields. It flew missions that should have been impossible. And it brought boys home. That's what the Mustang really was. It wasn't just metal and fuel and bullets. It was hope. It was protection. It was the reason a bomber crew could look out their window at 30,000 feet and see that silver fighter beside them and know they weren't alone. The war ended. The Mustangs came home, but their story never will, because the P-51 Mustang proved something the world needed to see. When Americans are backed into a corner, when the mission seems impossible, when everyone says it can't be done, that's when they do it anyway. That's when they build something that changes everything, and that's when they rule the skies. Thanks for watching. If this story meant something to you, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Drop a comment below. Tell us what you think. We read every single one. New World War II documentaries every week. See you in the next one.